Now, there are 7 stages of grief. They are shock and denial, disbelief, guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, loneliness and reflection, reconstruction, and then acceptance. Let's have a look at these. Shock and disbelief. When you first find out that your marriage is over or that someone you love has died, your initial reaction often is shock and complete disbelief. How can this be? It's not real. You're not in denial. You just can't accept that what has happened has happened. And it's a defense mechanism designed to protect us from pain. Now, that stage is when we plan the funeral, we make necessary arrangements, but we're in a state of suspension until we start to grieve. And then we go into denial. Denial shares similarities with disbelief, and it's its own coping mechanism to cope with the grief and the pain. You might simply deny that your loved one is gone, or you might get stuck in some chronic state of denial that this is not real. They will come back. They walked out, but they'll come back. And so we have our denial. And then we go into guilt. And this is nasty. We feel guilty. Maybe I could have done more for them. Maybe I should have called the doctor sooner. Maybe I should have been a better wife, a better husband, a better parent. Guilt is a horrible thing that we need to deal with. And so often, guilt centers around the person that is gone. And then we have anger and bargaining. And if anyone's going to get stuck in the grief cycle, I think anger is the most common one, and it can be so destructive. And this anger normally comes in after the funeral, after everybody else has gone back to their normal life, the casseroles stop coming, the phone calls lessen up, and people press on with their normal life again. And we get angry. We get angry sometimes at the person that died. How dare they die? Why didn't they go to the doctor sooner? Why didn't they live a healthier lifestyle? Why did they walk out on the marriage? I wanted to make it work, but they didn't. I remember in 1992, my sister rang and said, Dad's a bit sick. You should come down next month or so and see him. And I rang Kerry Ann and I said, Lynn just rang. Dad's sick. She wants me to come down in the next month and see him. And Kerry Ann said, you've got to go today. I said, excuse me? I was driving home from the airport. I said, I'm not going home to get changed to go back to the airport. She said, you have to go today. So I did. I got the last flight out of Sydney. I got into Melbourne near midnight, drove to the hospital, got there at 2 a.m, and it was just me and Dad. No one else was there. And I got the opportunity to say, Dad, did you read that New Testament I left with you? And he said, cover to cover. I said, how are things between you and God? He said, never better. And that night he died. Just before he died, for the first time in his life, he looked at us, his kids, and he said, I love you. Can you imagine if I hadn't listened to Kerry Ann being prompted by the Holy Spirit? I wouldn't know that my dad had become a Christian. I never would have heard those beautiful 3 words. And after he died, it was such a shock because no one expected it. I was having lunch at a food court and the table next to me, they all started laughing. And I got angry. I got really angry. I thought, how dare you laugh? My dad's dead and you're there laughing. And then it dawned on me, this is ridiculous. They don't know me. They don't know my dad. They don't know what's happening. They're just laughing. And it occurred to me how many times that I've been at a restaurant, I've been raucous and laughing, oblivious to everybody else there. And then I realised I'm angry and I need to process this anger. I was angry that my dad was gone. I was angry that it happened so soon, without warning. I was angry with some of the reactions of my siblings and how they weren't dealing with it in a good way. Anger is normal and it's okay, but we can't get stuck there. If we do, sometimes we need professional help to move on. You know, people, we can get angry at who was at the funeral, who wasn't there, who said things. And I always tell people when I'm talking to someone that's just lost a loved one, I tell them, please remember, there's going to be well-meaning people that say the most stupid things to you, so, that you will perceive as insensitive and callous, but they don't even know that they've said it. Cut them some slack because they're feeling awkward and unease. Just let it go through to the keeper. And after anger, we have depression, loneliness, and reflection. The loss is real now. We've accepted it. They're not coming back. They are dead. We have lost this opportunity. And we go through depression and loneliness as we think back about our life and what we've lost. But then we go through a working through stage when we start to reinvent our life. This is what life can never be normal again, but it can be a new normal. And the new normal can be good. It can be very good. And it's okay that it is good. We don't have to feel guilty that we've pressed on. The hurt is still raw. It's still painful. But life does go on and we reinvent ourselves. And eventually we come to that beautiful place of acceptance. We may make new friends. We may take up new hobbies. We might join new clubs. And every now and then, there will be a time when the remembrances come and the tears come back, and that's okay. The firsts are always difficult. The first Christmas, the first anniversary of the loss, the first birthday, the first everything are difficult. And crying at those occasions is okay and normal. Let people do that. Jesus demonstrated how we are to handle grief. At Lazarus' tomb, when Lazarus' sisters brought Jesus to the tomb, it says in John 11:35, shortest verse in the Bible, it simply says, Jesus wept. The Son of God wept. God wept. And Jesus also expressed anger before he wept. In John 11, verse 33 and 38, it says, when Jesus saw her sobbing and the Jews with her sobbing, a deep anger welled up within him. And he said, where have you put him? And they said, Master, come and see. Then Jesus wept. It's hard to imagine Jesus getting angry. He's so nice, so loving. But he got angry, and that's okay. Too often today we want to avoid our own tears and the tears of other people. So we say things that we think are helpful, but they're really not. We say, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You don't know how they feel. You can't know how they feel because it's different for every single person. A better thing to say is, I don't know what you're going through, but I'm here for you. We say, it's for the best. They're in a better place now. That may be true, but I'd rather they were here. We say, it was their time to go. At least they live a long life. Ooh. How do you define long? 1 more year would have been good at least. It's always too soon. We might say there's a reason why God took them away. You'll see them again. That's true, but that's not helpful. We say everything happens for a reason. And I know people have told me when they hear that, well, I'm about to slap you for a reason, okay? Everything happens for a reason. That's why I slapped you. That comment comes across as flippant and uncaring. And we say with the best of intentions, if you need anything, just call me. Chances are they won't. You need to just do it for them. Mow the lawn, cook the food, ring up. You don't ring up and say, hey, you want to go out for coffee? They're going to say, oh, I don't think so. No, you ring up and say, hey, I'm picking you up in 15 minutes. We're going out for coffee. Just do it. Now, those things are said well-intentioned, but let me give you some better phrases to say. You might say, I understand they're in heaven, a place where there is no pain or disappointment, but I also understand why you would rather they were still here. That's empathy. You might say, I can't imagine what you're feeling, but I'm here for you. I can't imagine what you're going through. And a simple thing is, I'm so sorry for your loss. Communicates so well. Be honest and say, I don't know what to say. I wish I had the right words to comfort you. And you might share a favourite memory of that person with them. Have a laugh, reminisce. So nice to say they were wonderful. They'll be missed by so many people. I'm your friend. I'm here for you. And if you can't think of anything to say, a hug is often very appropriate. Sometimes we just need to be with the person and not say anything. Just sit with them. Paul said in Romans 12:15, rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. We've got to be willing to enter into the suffering of the person that's grieving. Cry with them, not tell them don't cry. But here's the bottom line. We can't get through grief on our own, and we don't have to. Psalm 34:18, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them, and He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit.